Okay, thank you very much. We're going to give you an update pertaining to this water main break. I'm joined by the Executive Director of Water and Sewer, the Regional Water and Sewer, Springfield Regional Water and Sewer, Josh Schimmel, who will be speaking. I appreciate he and his team's efforts. Fire Commissioner B.J. Calvi, Health and Human Services Commissioner Helen Carlton Harris, Superintendent of Schools Daniel Warwick, Deputy Chief Stevie Kent, our Director of Emergency Preparedness, District Chief Ty Denson, DPW Director Chris Signoli, Facilities and Parks Director Pat Sullivan, and Gladys Oyola, who is Cabinet Head, oversees, besides elections, and the City Clerk's 311 for questions that we have received. I think we have everybody here on that. So, I have spoken once again to state officials this morning. As you know, late last night, Governor Healy Tamora had reached out to me for anything that we might need here. I know they're dealing with Mayor Dean Mazzarella. Leominster has been hit very, very hard. And I've spoken again this morning to Pat Carnevale from MEMA and directly to DEP Mike Gorski once again this morning. I have declared a state of emergency that is being prepared from City Solicitor Judge John Payne, which will go through Emergency Preparedness Director, Deputy Chief Ty Denson, and Commissioner Calvi. This is to avail ourselves to infrastructure repair money. This break that occurred, and Josh Schimmel and Chris Signoli will go into it, is a big job. It's going to cost millions of dollars. The area in question is very unstable where the break is. Erosion, we don't want any of our pipes being compromised anymore, and this has been obviously a huge inconvenience to our residents and business community. So I will go declare that. Carlton Harris. Temporarily, we will get bottled water sites. We will utilize our cooling center sites for Springfield residents only, and for those who are in specific need, and Helen Carlton Harris will go into that, and Josh, and this is temporary, and I believe we'll be opening those up 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Again, this is temporary, and it's for Springfield residents only, those who are unable to boil their water or have specific needs. The water, after it's boiled, is safe and sound after it cools for drink and other use. I also, Commissioner Calvi has been in contact also with our hospitals, dialysis centers. Once again, the water is safe to use and drink after temporarily. This is boiled to 1 minute into cooling. Toilets are working fine. It's okay to shower, but don't ingest any in your water in your mouth. Superintendent Warwick, schools again are closed today. We will reevaluate later in the day about Thursday, and if necessary with bottled water, but we'll reevaluate that later in the day and very, very early tomorrow morning. Commissioner Helen Carlton Harris, also we've closed our senior centers for activities under the abundance of caution for today. Josh Schimmel will go into, they continue flushing. Treatment continues throughout the city. You might have some discolored water. He'll speak of that about running the water. He'll clarify on filters that you still have to boil the water. I want to commend Fire Commissioner B.J. Calvi. Yesterday, when pressure was low, we're about full pressure now. Commissioner Calvi always being proactive, a peace of mind to reach out to Westover Air Force Base, and we had the backup water truck here. God forbid that there was a fire, but we're pretty much at full pressure, and Josh Schimmel will speak on that as with Commissioner Calvi. Test results, as we said late last night, the first tests have already been done. Second one is going to be done. And again, we're in close contact with DEP. We're very hopeful that those tests come back in a negative fashion, and if they do, there's an outside possibility that this temporary boil order can be taken away in the very, very, very near future. But we want to err on the side of caution. Myself and our team, my team here, our number one priority is the health and public safety of our residents. Just to give you a timeline, we've received some questions, and 311 will be able to answer those questions now also. Water and Sewer detected this at about 3:30 in the afternoon, late afternoon. It was temporarily repaired at 5:30. We had to consult, under consultation with DEP and reviewing with DEP, out of the abundance of caution for the public health and safety for our residents and business community. We had to make sure all the I's were dotted, T's were crossed, and that order came around 9 p.m. Now here's the thing, you're not going to put out a statement before it's stated that you have to boil water, because then you get into the cry wolf type aspect. So as soon as it was around 9 o'clock, it was declared, the reverse 911 call went out to all the residents of Springfield area, and also prior to that, a reverse 911 call went out to let people know about the low pressure that was going on. So if there was no need at the time to boil the water, we weren't issuing that until after consultation with DEP, review of DEP. It was indicated out of the abundance of caution to do that. That happened around about 9 o'clock or so. So as soon as that was clarified, we sent it out. Because the worst thing you could do is send out a message and then 5 minutes later say, well, you know, that's not so, because you get to the cry wolf syndrome. Now, MEMA, and Josh can speak of that, MEMA sent out a general message to the whole, a lot of the Western Mass area that did not come from us. It was a general message that was sent out on it. So that had nothing to do directly with Springfield, the regional water and sewer system. We deal with our certain customers in the Western Mass area, but MEMA, out of precaution, sent out a general message to clarify that. At this point in time, I'm going to bring up the Executive Director of the Springfield Water Regional Sewer System, Josh Schimmel, to give an update on the situation, and we'll have other speakers who will come up to speak on specifics, whether pertaining to restaurants and businesses with Helen and others as far as repair that needs to be done. And then, knock on wood, we're hopeful that this boil order can be lifted in the very, very near future. And we'll give more specifics pertaining to the bottled water. I also want to thank District Chief, Emergency Preparedness Director Ty Denson. Big Wise, they reached out to us, so we have possibility. We're buying water now, but we wanted to, for Springfield residents, those who specifically really need it. Without further ado, the Executive Director of the Springfield Regional Water and Sewer Commission, Josh Schimmel. Josh?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, everybody, all of your staff, and obviously water and sewer staff for responding in the way that we did. Just for a recap, we had a 36-inch water main break yesterday as the result of the previous night's storms. That was at 3:30, as the mayor had said. We became aware by 5 o'clock we had located the break, and by 5:30 the break was shut down. We lost between 5 and 10 million gallons of treated water at that point, so a lot of water. We average about 30 million gallons a day for Springfield in general on an average day. So that's the scale. A 36-inch water transmission main is a very large main at 100 psi, and it was shut down pretty quickly once we found the source. So we're pleased with the efforts to respond in that regard. As of now, pressure has been returned throughout the system, so we're comfortable with that. We're running specific models to look at different scenarios, but folks should not be experiencing any pressure loss at this point in time. Customers may be experiencing cloudy water or discolored water, and that is a result of the fact that when you rush 10 million gallons through the system so rapidly, it has a tendency to scour the pipe That scouring loosens debris in the pipe, and that in turn can make the water cloudy or discolored. That is not an issue of health or water quality. That is not the issue. The boil water order, as we have stated previously, is due to the potential for contamination. That potential is because the loss in water pressure has the possibility of pulling in a negative pressure, pulling contamination into the systems. We, out of an abundance of caution and in consultation with DEP, it was decided to declare a system-wide boil water order, which is what we did. It takes some time to do that. It takes getting information from the field. It takes getting information from other communities as well to make those types of decisions. These affect businesses, residences, hospitals, schools. So as you guys all know, water is central to everybody's daily life, and making these decisions is critically important. So in consultation with DEP, the decision was made in an abundance of caution again to do a boil water order, and that was issued at 9 o'clock. We were very much pleased with the timing of that. You can't make those decisions rashly. They have to be thoughtful in every step of the way, and that's what we did. So we're very comfortable with that. The notifications went out, reverse 911 calls or Everbridge reached out to all of our customers. I think there's some confusion about the alert that was put out by MEMA. I think you have to look at the alert that went out to generally a lot of Western Massachusetts. Springfield's the center of commerce in Western Massachusetts, so people come into Springfield daily for business, for entertainment, for any variety of things. And I think MEMA's intent on that broader notification was for folks who were coming into Springfield. That notification, I think, was effective in letting people who commute into Springfield understand they may want to bring bottled water or check with their employer where they're going, if they're open or had water, etc. So that notice isn't intended for other communities to boil water or that there's any issues other than in Springfield and Ludlow, as our press release and boil notification has stated. Again, pressure has been restored. The first round of sampling should be read later this afternoon, early this evening. If we get a pass on that, the other samples have already been taken today. They're going to be an incubation period of 18 hours. We should be reading those by 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And with those results, if we get negative on the bacteria tests, then we would lift the boil water order in conjunction with DEP's approval as early as 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's what we're hoping for. We have confidence in that. Again, we've never lost treatment or disinfection in all of this. So we have a break out in the distribution system. That break pulls a lot of water out, but up at the treatment plant, we were treating everything that came through that plant in the same fashion as we always do, and we're in compliance with all the regulations regarding that. So again, just a couple of key points. Boil your water for 1 minute, and it's absolutely usable. There's no need for bottled water unless you have specific concerns or you can't boil your water. So again, that's right from DEP. Boil your water and it's good to use. You can bathe, as the mayor had stated. Don't ingest any water at this point in time, and hopefully we'll be through this by tomorrow morning. We are updating our social media and our website pretty much hourly with any information that we get, so you can follow us there or check our website, and we'll have updates as they become available. I think from my perspective, everybody chipped in. We worked well. The mayor's staff, obviously, and the Water and Sewer Commission have been through a lot of emergency situations, so I think the response times and response by everybody was exceptional. And pretty proud of the work that this team has done in terms of getting water. Boil water orders are the last thing on earth a water company wants to do, but we also are really at the center of public health and safety, and we can't take any chances, and that's why we're with a boil water order.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mayor.
And again, you know, it is a fact we invest hundreds of millions of dollars in our system. We have one of the best water systems in the country. This occurred with the heavy deluge of rain that we have been receiving in the Springfield area, with the erosion that caused the pipe to be compromised. So before I bring up Chris Signola to speak on those situations, I'm going to bring up Health and Human Services Commissioner Helen Carlton Harris. She again wants to send specific and strong advisories to our viewing public whether it pertains to our residents and to our business community. Without further ado, the Commissioner of Health and Human Services for the City of Springfield, Helen Carlton Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Sarno. We are pleased that our team has come together to develop a strategy. We want to make sure that all of our residents have good health and are able to move through this safely. We are asking that individuals who are going to open their restaurants today, I have received many calls from restaurant individuals. If you're opening your restaurant today, do not serve coffee or soda from machines or soda machines that are plumbed into tap water. Turn off all coffee makers and soda machines that are plumbed into tap water. Do not serve ice unless you're certain it was made before 3 p.m. yesterday. Do not wash fruits and vegetables with tap water today. Must wash with boiled water. Do not wash dishes today unless the dishwater is a high temperature dishwater that reaches 180 degrees Fahrenheit on the final rinse. Switch to using single-serve utensils, cups and plates if you are not able to wash dishes today. Boil water for hand washing. Fill a water cooler with boiled water and mount it above the hand washing sink. Use boiled water for wiping down food contact surfaces and for sanitizing solutions. And so we have received at the Department of Health and Human Services many calls about restaurants. There are restaurants that have already closed. Many of our restaurants, particularly our chain restaurants, are plugged into water systems for coffee making, and so many restaurants, particularly some of our chains, have chosen to close today. And we are going to obviously monitor and make sure that these rules are being adhered to. Again, it is important for our residents and restaurants, if you're going to open, please adhere to these recommendations. Also, as far as bottled water is concerned, we have identified sites across the city where we will be distributing water. I want to emphasize what the mayor said. This is for Springfield residents only. We are prioritizing infants, young children, elderly, those with compromised immune systems, individuals who may be other-abled, those who cannot boil water. Again, it has been said you can shower and bathe. Once again, as we always ask you, and what becomes an emergency for the city, look out for your neighbors. Make sure if you have elderly or neighbors who are unable to travel, that you are making sure that they are safe. Our sites for water distribution will be Greenleaf, Hungry Hill, the Ray Jordan Center, the North End Senior Center, the Civic Association in Indian Orchard, South End Community Center, Rebecca Johnson School, the cafeteria, today only. And I want to emphasize today only. Should this need to continue, the mayor will assemble us as his team and make recommendations. The day or the time is slated to be between 1 and 6. Again, remember what Josh has said. You can boil the water, let it sit for 1 minute, and it is safe. And so we want to make sure that we are prioritizing the individuals in the city of Springfield who need access. I want to make sure I am acknowledging Patrick Sullivan, he will speak, and his team at Parks and Facilities who work hand in hand with the Department of Health and Human Services to staff these water distribution sites. Police and fire are also involved in assuring that the water gets to these specific sites. And always, Mayor Sarno is very focused on making sure we are out front and assuring that our residents' public health is at the forefront of all of our minds. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen, very much. Also, don't forget your pets, too. Same thing when you're giving them water. Try to follow those same guidelines for your pets. Now, on the infrastructure situation, again, the massive rains, downpours, deluge we received caused this collapse of the culvert and the erosion. I'm going to bring up DPW Director Chris Signoli to speak about the mutual repair efforts that will go on with DPW and Water and Sewer. DPW Director Chris Signoli.
Mayor, thank you. Just to highlight on some of the items that were talked about. The break occurred behind the Big Y up in East Springfield along a section of a stream called Abbey Brook. In the area of Abbey Brook where this happened, there's a very large and deep open channel. There is a section of area where the drainage system goes underground, and immediately above that system is the 36-inch water main. So what we feel happened is that due to the large rains that occurred over the A throughout the summer and B that occurred the other evening may have compromised that area and caused the area to fail, as well as the water main itself. In our discussions with Water and Sewer, from a water main perspective, everything is stable out there. However, the area will need to be completely rebuilt. We're talking probably 500, 600, 700 feet of a stream channel, culvert system. The drainage system, excuse me, was down about 10 plus feet from the water main, which was about 6 feet underground. So you're dealing almost 20 feet down to do our repairs. That work will take some time, and we will have to stabilize the area, and we will then have to start making the necessary repairs out there. So from our perspective, the drainage swale, the drainage system will need to be rebuilt, and as that starts to come back up, then the water main can get put back in. Our discussions with Josh is once the system, from a pressure and flow standpoint, when I say system, I'm talking citywide, that is stable at this point. So our goal is to get this done as quickly as possible. However, this is going to take some time, and it will take a lot of money. However, once the water quality issues are addressed, virtually everybody in the city should be back to where they were before. However, they will see a lot of activity out in that area. So we want to make sure that the area is stable, number one. It is also protected. There is a lot of little paths down there. This is a drainage system that basically runs behind Springfield Plaza and then underneath Liberty Street. And it takes in a huge amount of water from a big section of the city. So making the repairs will need to take into account the volume of water. So it's not just putting a 24-inch pipe in the ground. This is going to be a big effort that's going to take place over the next month or two. So we have a pretty good idea of what we think may have caused this issue, and we will be starting immediately trying to get the area stabilized and then repaired. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, very much. On the school perspective, I will bring up Superintendent Dan Warwick.
Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor said earlier, we always err on the side of caution for safety of our students and staff. Therefore, we close today. We're going to do everything we can to be ready to be open tomorrow, but it depends on the water situation. So we're going to make a decision at a later time when we're going to make every effort to have school if possible. But as soon as we get word, we'll notify people. That could be as late as tomorrow morning, but our effort is going to be to have school if possible. But as the Mayor said earlier, we will err on the side of caution, and if we can't provide safety for our students and staff, we'll have to close again. But no decision is made on tomorrow, and we're hoping to be open. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. On the public safety perspective, once again, Fire Commissioner B.J. Calvi.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor. Yesterday afternoon, we began to receive reports right after 3:30 that we're experiencing pressure problems in certain areas of the city. I immediately reached out to our mutual aid partners in the community and requested a tanker from the Westover Air Reserve Base that would give us 2,500 to 3,000 gallons of water that we stationed in the city's Mason Square station, which is right in the heart of the city. That gave us a cushion if we were to have a structure fire in most parts of the city at that time. I then reached out to our mutual aid partners in the surrounding communities who were also experiencing some water pressure problems, Ludlow, East Longmeadow, Agawam, and West Springfield, and we came together and decided to bring in a tanker strike team that we were going to stage at the Western Mass Fire Academy. We were making all the planning to get that implemented, and through communication with Director Schimmel, we found out that the water system was, the pipe was sealed off, the valves were closed, and pressure was beginning to rise. I was up at the water break consulting with Josh and his team, and as the pressure began to rise and got to a acceptable level, we then canceled the tanker strike team, and also returned Westover to their station because we were up to normal firefighting pressures. At this time, the system is at normal pressure for firefighting. We have no safety concerns at this time, and there's no danger to the community in terms of fire protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, very much. On the police perspective, Deputy Chief Stevie Kent is here. Commissioner Clapper Police Superintendent Clapper was an earlier meeting, very early this morning, but she's covering another meeting for me. And Deputy Kent will speak on, the area is, again, very in a difficult situation, so we're going to have a car posted there too, and so the residents stay away from it. But I'll have Deputy Chief Kent say a few words pertaining to that. And again, I'm very appreciative of the efforts of Commissioner Calvi, Police Superintendent Clapper, Emergency Preparedness Director, District Chief Tyrone Denson. They're all working together with Pat Sullivan and Helen on the bottled water that we're going to put on site. So without further ado, Springfield Police Department Deputy Chief Steve Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. So briefly, we are assisting in the distribution of water to the cooling centers to the various locations in the city. That effort's being undertaken or overseen, I guess is a better way to say it, by Deputy Chief Akers and Deputy Chief Daniel. In addition to that, we are providing security at the site of the break. I will be driving by there after I leave here to make sure that we have adequate security there. We will be providing security until further notice. We're urging everyone to stay away from the site. Again, I haven't seen it, but I'm told it's extremely hazardous, and we don't need any sightseers complicating matters up there by causing a problem or trying to get pictures or anything like that. So again, we're asking that everybody stay away. Lastly, I'd like to reiterate Commissioner Carlton Harris's point of checking on your neighbors. I know the kids are home from school, parents may be at work. So keep an eye out on your neighbors, especially the elderly or the disabled. If you have concerns and you don't feel comfortable or you can't check on them personally, call us, call 911, and we will happily go and take care of that for anybody that requests it. Thank you.
I'm going to bring up Emergency Preparedness Director, District Chief Tyrone Denson, give an update. We've been getting constant flooding warnings and emergencies, so Ty, if you can give a brief update on that, and then we'll have Director Sullivan and Commissioner Gladys Oyola come up also to give you some updates.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. As of now, I just want to say we're working on this situation as quickly as possible to stabilize what just happened. Before I report on the flooding situation, I just want to state that right now our fire division is acquiring bottles of water to be distributed to the cooling centers around the city. So I want to thank our fire division. They're picking up pallets of water right now. They're working with the police department to distribute those bottles. Also, I want to thank Big Y for donating pallets of water as well for this cause. Performance Food Group as well, I want to thank them for letting us acquire some bottled water for that as well. And MEMA, the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, we've been working with them for the last 18 or so hours, just trying to stabilize this whole situation. So I want to say thank you to them. As far as the flooding situation comes right now, we have rain, steady rain coming in tonight. Actually today, we have possible 1 to 2 more inches of rain throughout the course of the day. So there's a flood watch, area flood watch in this area for Springfield for today. So please be cautious and careful. The flooding situation, if you see any puddles or any things like that, please turn around, don't drown. And just stay aware to the media, to just the local media. Make sure that you're aware of any alerts that's going on in the area. All right, I just want to say thank you.
Bring up Director of Facilities and Parks, Pat Sullivan, again, who works with all our departments on our continued efforts pertaining to the bottled water, and also if we need to have some tree work done on this specific situation, we'll be prepared to do that. The Director of Facilities and Parks, Patrick Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Josh Schimmel, Chris Agnoli, and Fire Commissioner B.J. Cowley for the constant updates yesterday. We were experiencing low pressure in our sprinkler systems and some of our buildings, causing some false alarms, but because they were sharing that information, we knew what to immediately do to address those situations. So our facilities team is monitoring those sites throughout the day, so when school does reopen, all fire systems will be up in our buildings. I want to thank Commissioner Helen Carlton. She was on the phone with me last night on this issue to start preparing to open up the cooling centers to become water distribution, and to tie in Commissioner Calvi for coordinating the water donations. So park staff will be at the locations along with Health and Human Service staff from 1 to 6 today to distribute that water. And just to echo Helen's comments, that water is intended for people that cannot boil their water or have a compromised immune system. And we are prepared to assist DPW down the road for any work. And just to echo the police department, parents and guardians, please talk to your children, stay out of this area. It's a very large resource conservation area, and we know that kids like to cut through there. I know as a kid growing up on Hungry Hill, we went through there a lot to get to the plaza. So we want everyone to stay out of this area because it's dangerous right now from just the amount of water coming down from upstream and so forth. So please talk to your children, stay off the slopes, and just stay out of this entire area. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick, very much. Thank you. Again, I want to thank, before I bring up Commissioner Gladys Oyola, the media. You were there last night. You're here again. This information is very important to get out. I want to thank the Damore family. Big Y always steps up besides, and Commissioner Cal, we were just updating with CFO TJ Plant, more pallets of water we're going to get. If needed, I'd rather be prepared on it. Commissioner Iola, or Madam Clerk Iola, also oversees 311. We've been receiving a bevy of phone calls. She'll reiterate to you and to the viewing public some of the general questions they have and the answers that we have for that. So without further ado, our Election Commissioner and 311 and Madam City Clerk Gladys Oyola.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. As you may know, 311 serves as the main point of contact for the City of Springfield residents when they have questions. And as such, we're asking that city residents call us directly rather than reaching out to the Water and Sewer Department. We've had calls since 3 o'clock yesterday, and residents have been asking all sorts of questions regarding the boil water order. What we want to impress upon the residents is that we have the most up-to-date information. Executive Director Schimmel has provided us with talking points, and the 311 operators are prepared to answer any questions that residents have. What we are also asking is that residents call us as far as the water distribution sites. So Commissioner Carlton Harris will be providing us with a list of sites with details on who should be attending these sites to receive the water and also the hours of operation. In summary, we would really like to let the residents know that the 311 operators will be there from 7 a.m. to 4:30 to answer questions, and they're available to answer questions in Spanish and in English as well. Thank you.
Again, as we've done before, I want to thank my cabinet heads all the way down to rank and file. As you know, we've been battle-tested and true to a number of natural and unnamed natural disasters. And once again, we're going to let you know as we have what happened, what we're going to do about it, and just as important, we'll get through this working together, and that's extremely important. Knock on wood, hopefully this can, once we get clearance on the second testing, that this could possibly end as early as tomorrow at 5 a.m. But we're always going to be number one for the public health and safety for our residents and business community, so we want to err on the side of caution as we move forward. And stay tuned for continued updates on our website. Obviously, with all the media entities that are here, thank you very, very much. It's extremely important that we get this information, continue to get this information out to our viewing public in the Springfield and Ludlow area. With that, if you have any questions or comments, the officials are here to address any of those. Kaylee?
Just one quick follow-up. I know that residents can call 311 to learn about the sites that are going to be distributing the bottled water. Is that also going to be listed online?
Yes. Yes, we'll have that online too. We'll have that online. Chris?
Regarding the reconstruction of this main, it's been well documented that there continue to be issues with supplies and getting supplies for especially construction projects. Does the emergency status assist in that? I know you said that there could be some funding available, but does it also facilitate the getting these supplies needed to complete the repairs?
I will let Executive Director Josh Schimmel address that. My move, and I've had to do it a number of times, through the tornado, through the freak nor'easter, pre-Halloween in 2011, the gas explosion, the recent worldwide pandemic. By declaration, declaring an emergency situation status, that avails ourselves to funding. Specifically, Governor Healy, who called me late last night also, has put together a fund statewide to deal with all the devastation that's occurred on the flooding and the rain activity. We want to avail ourselves to that money because this is going to be a big price tag and we don't want to see any more erosion. This was a 36-inch main pipe. But listen, I'm not the expert on this. I want to bring Josh up on it. The work that Water and Sewer, the crews and DPW do in very difficult situations is heroic at times as far as the elements they have to deal with. Josh?
Sure, thanks, Mayor. I think it's important to understand the supply chain issues are real, and so materials are difficult to find. This is not a unique main, but there's not a lot of 36-inch water mains out there. I think one of the things we've already started to do is contact other utilities that have similar mains, and at times we will borrow from another utility and then repay them with another item when it comes in to replace that. So we'll work on our end to get the materials to fix the pipe. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on the drainage side, as Director Signoli said, before we can even repair our pipe. So I think the project is fairly large in size just because of the location and the type of failure. So there's some work to do here, but I know that everybody will do it as quickly as they can. I think the declaration of an emergency is only going to help that cause, and to the point where it can speed things up, it will.
Thank you. I'm going to bring up on the other end of the deal with the Director Signoli will speak on that too, Chris.
Thank you, Mayor. A majority of the materials that we're going to need right away are going to be basically the raw materials: sand, stone, fill, gravel. Those are readily available. At the same time, when we start looking for reinstallation of drainage systems, we start to look at kind of what's available versus what we need to order. You know, if it's a 42-inch pipe and somebody has 48-inch pipe available, we're going to put in a 48-inch pipe if it's available. So we will have a little bit of time in doing all the site prep work that we have to do to find out what contractors have available for them for the culvert replacement that needs to be done at that location. I'm not going to say I'm not worried about it, but I think with the materials that are available, we'll be able to get the system back together.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Santiago, Daniel?
Yes. Any concerns about today's rain further activating the area, the pipes, or impacting or delaying the work that's being done by teams over there?
Well, as I indicated before, and as District Chief, Emergency Preparedness Director Ty Denson indicated that, you know, alerts have been sent out on that, and Director Signoli and Executive Director Schimmel, you know, are aware of that. So we want to move quickly on that. I think, you know, you should heed the advice that Deputy Chief Steve Kent has given, and Fire Commissioner B.J. Calvi, to the individuals in the area near or far. Stay away from that area. I don't know, Ty, did they lift the flood warning now? Is it flood warning been lifted, or is it till 1 o'clock, still till 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously there are concerns on that. They're moving, they've already moved to stabilize the area, but again, that's a 36-inch main. And I think you're going to, Chris and Josh, culvert, you're going to have to do I forgot the term we used this morning.
Culvert?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the drainage side, Chris and his engineers will have to develop a plan to handle that type of flow.
Yeah. So there is a concern, and we're preparing for that. I don't know if Chris or Josh wants to add anything with that. And I think we get through, knock on wood, today. We see a clearing pattern of good weather, which would be very advantageous. But right now, our number one priority is to make sure we get out the information to the residents and the business community about the boil the water. For those who have specific needs that can't boil the water or specific immune issues, we're going to have those bottled water for Springfield residents who have that specific need at our cooling center locations. Let's see what happens later in the day. Let's see what happens early this next coming morning. If we're able to get the green light, that the tests come back okay, this could be over very shortly. Knock on wood. If not, then we're prepared, as we've done before, to continue to provide to our residents moving forward. Paul?
Mayor, I had an anecdotal report this morning from a woman who said that a store that had been charging $3.99 for a case of bottled water was charging $5.99 this morning. Is the city going to do anything about potential price gouging during this emergency?
Shame on that store, if that is so. What we will do is we'll get that to Millie Johnson, who's my director of my mayor's office of consumer affairs, which is directly connected to AG's office, Andrea Campbell. So, Billy, if we can do that, if you have more specific information.
As I said, it was anecdotal.
Anecdotal, but if that is coming up, you know, we went through this a number of times with all the other natural and man-made disasters where we had people jacking up prices, and we did pursue those individuals, especially during the tornado days, through the Attorney General's office for price gouging that was going on, and that was pursued, and those individuals faced repercussion. If that is so, and we have specific information, we will follow up. Again, Millie Johnson directs my mayor's office of consumer affairs, which is a direct conduit to Attorney General Andrea Campbell's office on that. Got that, Billy? Okay. Yes, Chris?
One more question. Did the city send out a reverse 911?
Yeah, reverse 911 went out,
yeah. Anecdotally, also, we've received reports that people did not receive notification. Their first notification was that MEMA notification that got sent out regionally. How can people make sure that they are tapped into this resource to make sure that they are getting these?
I'll let Commissioner and Madam Clerk Gladys will address that. If your number's provided, you get a 911 reverse call on that. Gladys, you want to clarify that at all? The 911 reverse call?
That
Well,
would
there's
be IT group.
IT, but if you're listed on there, you get that 911. Right. If you're, Chief, am I right?
Yeah. Mayor, I think that was our Everbridge, so folks have to sign up for that in order to receive it. So if you're a customer of ours, we've stated this several times and we put it in notices that you have to sign up for the Everbridge. If you choose not to, you don't get it. Some people don't like to be called and disturbed.
So,
Jamie, go ahead.
so to clarify, that was through the commission and not through the city.
Correct.
Working together on it. I know I got 2 calls that came to
Jamie,
my
go
home
ahead.
too. Jamie?
Okay, so I misspoke there.
Another thing too, water and sewer did send out emails to customers.
Yes.
Along with phone calls.
Yes.
So just to clarify, so the 311 did a reverse 911
There was
yesterday.
one on our end as well.
And
Yes.
you did one
Yes.
well, and MEMA did one.
MEMA did a general one.
Yeah, I got that on my cell
Yeah,
phone.
yeah. And yeah. So we made sure we tried to note, everybody that we could notify was notified on it. I know I received 2 calls at home, when I got home late last night, there was 2 calls on there also.
Okay.
So, and again, the last call that came out was after everything under consultation and review from DEP, that on abundance of caution, these are the moves we had to make. We did not want to send out information prematurely that would, alarm us, if the possibility was that it was not even needed to be done at that point in time. So we've given a time frame on it and when this all occurred. And now, again, knock on wood, we're hopeful that, this will render that hopefully as early as very, very early tomorrow morning, this could all be rectified. Any other questions? Daniel?
Water distributions for Springfield residents only. Is there going to be any proof of address that these people need to provide in order to?
Well, Helena, we spoke about that. We're going to, come on up, Helena.
We don't want to impose further restrictions on our residents, so we are not going to ask for identification. However, we are really hoping that individuals understand that this is for Springfield residents only, and that they are making sure that they are following our guidance around who we would like to distribute the water to based on the criteria that I outlined earlier. Thank you.
Jonah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, someone drank the water prior to the request. What steps should we take to ensure?
Yeah, good question. I think we addressed that last night too. I don't know if Josh wants to or Helen wants to address it. We did address that late last night on you, but that's a good question.
The question was if people ingested water prior to... Yeah, I mean, I think the risk is low, but there is a risk, and you may experience discomfort in your belly, GI-type symptoms, and those should pass. And if they don't, you should call your physician. In the manner in which the main broke, and the scenario from forensics that we kind of put together, we think the risk was low, but in consultation, we just, out of an abundance of caution, we wanted to do the boil water order just in case. So if folks have ingested water in that time period prior to the notification, they should be aware that they may experience some discomfort and they can contact their physicians.
Haven't been any reports of any illness that you're aware of?
No.
No, we have not. So, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, again, I want to really thank all the members of the media here, and especially last night. We did that very late in the evening. But once we had, again, what occurred, what we're going to do about it, and then just as important, we're going to get through this working together as we've done with other natural and man-made disasters. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's knock on wood that this might all be rectified as early as very, very early tomorrow morning. And if anything comes earlier than that, we'll get out there. If not, be prepared that we'll issue information early in the morning. Okay. Hey, thank you very, very much, everybody.